Hi, it's Jeffrey Cohen, Chicago Quantum, investment advisor representative for U.S. Advanced Computing Infrastructures Incorporated, an Illinois registered investment advisory firm. Here to talk to you about the markets, but also to focus on profitable companies. Companies that made a really big profit in the past year and where it's maybe kind of surprising. And then we'll look at some basic valuations and we'll look at how clean the income is. But really, yesterday we did a video on companies that lose money, and I figured today let's do a video on companies that make money. And so, while we're waiting though for the data to load, let's take a look at the S&P 500. You look at the S&P over 10 years. This is on Cohen, and you see this gradual rise. It's beautiful. It had a few hiccups. 2018, 2020, but really, it's been rising pretty nicely, and it's been a pretty big drop here, which is not that normal. It's starting to be kind of a long drop through December 20 of 2022, which is today, basically. So you've got this downdraft that's happening, and it's interesting. If we go back to the 5-year, same story. Now you go to the 3-year and you notice the drop in 2020. And then like most of us, we rode it up into 2021 and then lost a ton of money in 2022. That's kind of the story. And I think you're going to see that play out next year as people pay taxes and people calculate all their earnings, that it's been kind of tough. It's been kind of a tough 2022. So let's take a look at it for the 1 year. See if we can tease that data out. And so you see it climbed, in December, but by January it was starting to fall. It climbed back to 0% change, dropped down to 21% lower, recovered to 7% down, 22% down. And now you see it only recovered up to 12% down. And now it's down 17% in a year. And what's interesting is, it could keep falling. It could go back up again. But you can kind of see this context of stock market's down a fair amount, right? Down 17.25% from a year ago today. Now, if we look at it over 5 days, you see we've had a really bad 5 days. This is when the Fed spoke, was on the 14th. And then, boom. So it's not been a very good time. You look at it for the 1 day, and it's like a gradual, opened a little lower, came down half a point, was up almost half a point, was down a quarter point, was up a quarter point. And so it's a really gradual oscillation, which to us is starting to feel like a more attractive market. Okay, wait a minute. What do you mean, Jeff? More attractive. We're down 17.25%, and you're sitting here telling me it's more attractive. Well, it's more attractive for really one reason. We'll take a look at the VIX. Maybe this is how I'll talk about it. So if you look at the VIX over the year, and you see the VIX was low at the end of the year. There was a good solid year, the market kept going up, not a lot of volatility, and that VIX jumped. So it was up 50%, then 60%, then 50, then 50, then 57%, then as high as 56% in October. And now it's coming back to where it ended the year. And so this flattening of the VIX, this cooling off of volatility, and you're cooling off to a point where it was at the end of really a 3-year rally. That's beautiful. You saw another cooling here, but it didn't last very long, right? And so the hope is that when you see this kind of cooling of volatility, that it lasts. Because that is very good for stocks. More so than you would expect. Our whole model is based on the concept that people want to avoid risk. People don't want a risky life. They don't want risky stocks. They don't want their money to be going up and down and scared that they might be in the wrong stock. I got a stock now, it's down like 95%. I've got an option position that's down 99%. Nobody wants that. I had another stock that was up like 10 grand. That's great. But with all these ups and downs, I'm down for the year and I'm scared anytime I want to make a move. And you probably are too. Because if you make the wrong move, the moves are large. They're kind of hectic. They're crazy. And what we really want, especially let's say you invest money for somebody else. Let's say you run a hedge fund or an insurance company or a pension. You're not in this for like a 1 month run. You've got to manage people's money for 20 years. You want calm, steadily rising markets. And so this little bit of calmness in the VIX gives us comfort. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So that's kind of the overall market. So there's not much else to really look at, right? The markets are flat to slightly higher. I think it's great. There's no real story here. There's no real news. I was looking for China news. China news. South China Sea. South China Morning Post. South China Morning Post. So I was looking at the top, and now they have a thing about TikTok. So they're talking about TikTok. They're not really talking about COVID. You have to scroll down pretty far to get to COVID. If really anything. Is there anything about COVID? Yeah. Here it is. Only deaths from respiratory failure counting COVID. So there's only 7 deaths in all of China from COVID. And those 7 deaths happen all in Beijing. And my guess is, if I read the article, it'll talk about foreigners coming to China and spreading COVID. But let's take a look. So, and this is from today. This is December 20. It's very sad. You have a patient there with a multicolored blanket, and it's sad. I don't like it. So they're trying to be more scientific and realistic. I think it's great to be scientific and realistic. So health officials stopped reporting asymptomatic cases because who cares? Nobody has any symptoms, right? Now this was good though. So meanwhile, the country logged 2,656 new infections on Tuesday. Now I'm sorry for every one of them, right? That's sad. Training exercises. They've been organizing training exercises. Fitness goals, right? To standardize the statistical work for COVID deaths. Hopefully they're also doing some training on how to treat these people. Because, let's take a look. Anything about number of deaths? No. So where are we at, right? We want to talk about the COVID. Coronavirus China. Oh. So this first one's important, right? So Foxconn had a problem because there was a disruption due to COVID. So they're hoping that they pretty darn well, get back to work, right? So, I tweeted this article. I thought she was really cute with the outfit there. And that's really what you got to worry about is what kind of outfit are you going to wear when you travel? And, okay. So there are some pressures, right? Bars, gyms, and other indoor venues can reopen, and travel is resuming as city authorities urge a return to normal life. So China, normal life. This is also December 20. And so they've eased pandemic control measures. You know that the city of Beijing has what, like 30 million people? Right, 5 new deaths. Yeah. So we're actually at, we had 2 deaths on Sunday, 5 on Monday. So all right, so that's 7 deaths. So I to be honest with you, city of Chicago, right, just from shootings can have 7 deaths in a weekend. And so maybe it's okay. Maybe it's just no big deal. So I think with the markets pricing in no big deal. Yesterday, Chinese markets were up, actually. Let's take a look at Yahoo Finance. I want to say that Chinese markets were strong. When I looked, they were strong yesterday. They were open. They were strong. Equities were up in China. Let's take a look now. So I look at the Hang Seng. All right, it was down 1.33%. SSE and the Shenzhen were down between 1 and 1.6%. So yeah, not great. Not great. They're kind of on the lower end of the 52-week average. So maybe the markets aren't really taking the South China Morning Post, you know, for what it is. But I think it's great. I read about this and I find out that everything's fine in China, right? 7 deaths, the whole country. They got 1.4 billion people. You would think 7 people died standing on a ladder in a week, right? So no big deal. So, all right. So I'm going to stop this video because this video has nothing to do with companies that make money. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you for watching. By the way, if you like the video, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. If you think I went a little overboard with China COVID only having 7 fatalities and all of them in Beijing, let me know. I don't mind. I think I went a little crazy here. So we're gonna restart with a brand new video that talks about companies that made money. Thanks.